Scripture speaks of a time at the end of the age when mankind will be forced to receive a mark in order to buy and sell. Chasson, Revelation 13:16. And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, and free and slave, to be given a mark upon their right hand or upon their foreheads, and that no one should be able to buy or sell except he that has the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. So basically, when this time comes, man will be given a choice to either receive this mark or to be cut off from society, to be cut off from the basic necessities like water, food, and clothing. What if I told you that the 144,000 were the first martyrs who did not love their lives to the death, and that they endured through this trial? Consider this, that the 144,000 are mentioned in the 7th chapter of Revelation. This is the letter Zayin, which means sword and plow. A choice between pushing the plow as a slave or accepting the sword. The 4 horsemen were before this chapter, and it clearly says that they were killed in chapter 6. Chasson, Revelation 6:9. And he opened the 5th seal, and I saw under the slaughter place the beings of those having been slain for the word of Elohim and for the witness which they held. And they cried out with a loud voice, saying, How long, O Master, set apart and true, until you judge and avenge our blood on those who dwell on the earth? And there was given to each one a white robe, and they were told that they should rest a little longer, until both the number of their fellow servants and their brothers, who would be killed as they were, was completed. Their fellow brothers and servants, who would be killed as they were, was completed. Here is some additional evidence to what I'm saying here. When the elder told Yochanan who the 144,000 were. Also, 144,000 isn't the literal number, and here is why. The word for thousand in Hebrew is aleph, as seen in Joshua 8:25. And it came to be that all who fell that day, both men and women, were 12,000, all men of Ai. In this passage, the Hebrew word for thousand is aleph. Aleph is Strong's 505, which means 1,000. But it also can mean, the term can also imply a large, indefinite number, emphasizing abundance or multitude. The concept of thousand could also symbolize completeness or a large, impressive quantity, reflecting the grandeur of Elohim's blessing or the vastness of his creation. This is why, after they were listed as 12,000 from each tribe, the next verse clarifies that it is an uncountable number, because 12,000 or aleph means completeness. Here's the next verse for proof of this concept. Chasson, Revelation 7:9. After this I looked and saw a great crowd, which no one was able to count, out of all the nations and tribes and peoples and tongues, standing before the throne and before the Lamb, dressed in white robes, and palm branches in their hands. This great crowd is the 144,000. It is the complete number of everyone who is Israel. Everyone who overcomes with El. That is what the name Yisrael means. Chasson, Revelation 7:13. And one of the elders responded, saying to me, Who are these dressed in white robes, and where do they come from? And I said to him, Master, you know. And he said to me, These are those coming out of the great distress, having washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Many have assumed that the 144,000 were taken before the tribulation, but that is not what Scripture says, and here is proof to that in the next few verses. Kasson, Revelation 7:15. Because of this they are before the throne of Elohim, and serve him day and night in his dwelling place. And he who sits on the throne shall spread his tent over them, and they shall hunger no more, neither thirst any more, neither shall the sun strike them, nor any heat, because the Lamb who is in the midst of the throne shall shepherd them and lead them to fountains of waters of life, and Elohim shall wipe away every tear from their eyes. First and foremost, they are in the presence of the Most High, and no mortal man can look upon him and live. Second, it says that they are before the throne. Now in the last chapter, the martyrs were in the slaughter place. Kasson, Revelation 6:9. And when he opened the fifth seal, I saw under the slaughter place the beings of those having been slain for the word of Elohim and the witness which they held. The slaughter place is before the throne. We see this in chapter 8, verse 3. And another messenger came and stood at the slaughter place, holding a golden censer, and much incense was given to him, that he should offer it with the prayers of all the set apart ones upon the golden slaughter place, which was before the throne. Now let's go back for more evidence. Kasson, Revelation 7:15. Because of this, they are before the throne of Elohim, and serve him day and night in his dwelling place, and he who sits on the throne shall spread his tent over them. And they shall hunger no more, neither thirst any more, neither shall the sun strike them, nor any heat, because the Lamb who is in the midst of the throne shall shepherd them, and lead them to fountains of waters of life, and Elohim shall wipe away every tear from their eyes. Notice it says that they will hunger no more. This is because they did suffer hunger, being cut off from society. They will thirst no more, because they did suffer thirst. The sun shall strike them no more, because they were scorched by the sun. And lastly, he will wipe away their tears. This is because they all suffered loss. Notice what it says in chapter 12 of Revelation. And they overcame him because of the blood of the Lamb, and because of the word of their witness, and they did not love their lives to the death. Notice it says that they did not love their lives to the death. They chose the sword over the mark, which is being a slave or captive to the system. This is the 12th chapter and the 11th verse. This together is the number 23. The number 23, as we have seen before, can represent a curse. But this number also has a duality, a blessing and a curse. Before I explain this, let's look at chapter 13. Kasson, Revelation chapter 13, verse 7. And it was given to him to fight with the set apart ones and to overcome them. And authority was given to him over every tribe and tongue and nation, and all those dwelling on the earth, whose names have not been written in the book of life of the slain Lamb from the foundation of the world, shall worship him. If anyone has an ear, let him hear. He who brings into captivity shall go into captivity. He who kills with the sword has to be killed with the sword. Here is the endurance and belief of the set apart ones. Notice in 13 verse 10, it makes a reference to this blessing and curse. 13 and 10 is 23. But how can the sword be a blessing and captivity be the curse? For that, we need to look at the hidden message of Moshe in the blessing and a curse. Debarim Deuteronomy 11:26. See, I am setting before you today a blessing and a curse. The blessing when you obey the commands of Yahuwah your Elohim, which I command you today. And the curse if you do not obey the commands of Yahuwah your Elohim, but turn aside from the way which I command you today, to go after other mighty ones, which you have not known. And it shall be when Yahuwah your Elohim has brought you into the land which you go to possess, that you shall put the blessing on Mount Gerizim and the curse on Mount Ebal. The hidden message of the blessing and the curse is for this generation. This message is hidden not only in the names of the mountains, but the men who delivered the message of the blessing and the curse. Debarim Deuteronomy 27:11. And Moshe commanded the people on that day, saying, These are to stand on Mount Gerizim to bless the people, when you have passed over the Yarden, Shimeon, Lewi, Yehuda, and Yissachar, and Yosef, and Benjamin. This is the blessing for those who wait on Yahuwah and those who overcome the tribulation. Shema, listen and discern. Abide with Yahuwah be praised. He will bring a reward. Yahuwah has added the son of the right hand. Those who overcome will be saved. This mountain of blessing is Gerizim, strong 1630, and means to cut off or cut down, because those who refuse the mark will be cut off from society and cut down, and cut off from buying and selling during the tribulation. But in the end, Yahuwah will bring them a great reward. Deuteronomy 27:13. And these are to stand on Mount Ebal to curse. Reuben, God. Let's talk about this word God for a minute. Revelation 16:13. And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. For they are the spirits of devils, working miracles which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world, to gather them to battle of that great day of Elohim Almighty. The word for devils is Strong's G 1142, Daimon. This word means a god or goddess, inferior deity, or an evil spirit. If you go to the LXX, it's only used one time, and that word is God.
Strong's H 1410. God.
And Ashur, and Zebulon, Dan, and Naphtali. This curse will therefore deceive many people by promises of fortune, God, and happiness and relief, Ashur. But this is a deception that leads into captivity. Listen to the curse. See the afflicted, Reuben, be invaded and overcome by the evil spirit, God, and be led, Ashur, and indwelled, Zabal, to be ruled and judged, Dan, twined in cunning deception, Naphtali. The curse represents captivity of the spirit, and it is placed on the mountain of Ebal, which just so happens to be where Ai was in Yahusha chapter 8, This is not a coincidence, for it will be by the power of the second beast that all mankind will become of one mind. Kason, Revelation 17:13. And they have one mind, and they shall give their power and authority to the beast. The name of the mountain of the curse is Eyeball, a fitting name, since their plan is to give omnipresence to the beast, the all-seeing eye. To do this, they must remove the covering of man, and the name of this mountain is Strong's 5858, Eyeball, derived from an unused root meaning to be bald. The removal of man's covering brings forth the curse. Debarim Deuteronomy 11:26. See, I am setting before you today a blessing and a curse. The blessing when you obey the commands of Yahuwah your Elohim, which I command you today. I am placing before you today the blessing and the curse. The blessing is 23 and the curse is 23. How is 23 both the blessing and a curse? It is because 23 is the covenant of creation, summed up in the first commandment in Bereshit, Genesis 2:15. And Yahuwah Elohim took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and to guard it. And Yahuwah Elohim commanded the man, saying, Eat of every tree of the garden, but do not eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. This is the first covenant, the covenant of creation. For Yahuwah gave his word to the man that if he ate the day he did, he would die. For in the day that you eat of it, you shall certainly die. This covenant can be expressed by this. I am the Aleph and the Tau, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. Kason, Revelation 22:13. The letter Aleph means first, and the letter Tau means covenant. Yahuwah is the beginning of creation and the end of it. Aleph is the first letter, and Tau is the 22nd letter, combined to form the number 23. Getting mankind to break this covenant was Satan's plan from the very beginning. Bereshit, Genesis 3:4. And the Nakash said to the woman, You shall certainly not die, for Elohim knows that in the day you eat of it, your eyes shall be opened, and you shall be like Elohim, knowing good and evil. And the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree desirable to make one wise. And she took of its fruit and ate. And she also gave to her husband with her, and he ate. Notice the chapter, and the verse number is 3:6. 3 sixes, or 666. The woman saw that the tree was desirable to make one wise. The word for desirable is Strong's 2530, kamad. The word kamad is the same word used as covet in the commands found in Exodus 20 verse 17 when it refers to coveting things that belong to your neighbor. Notice what it says, that it was desirable to make one wise. The word for wise is 7919 sakal, which means intelligent. In other words, the woman desired to be made wise, to be augmented, to be changed, to have something she didn't have. She coveted this power. But look at what it says. She saw all of these powers, and she saw what it could do for her. Then she took it. The woman Eve represents all of mankind who are not content with what they are given. They covet power to become as Elohim, to become more powerful by augmenting their bodies, to become more intelligent by becoming transhuman and augmenting humanity, mixing demonic AI technology with the human body to become something else.
I mean, while we're in there, why not? Let's give people superpowers.
And the same for vision. As you restore vision, there could be aspects of that restoration that are superhuman.
Yeah, at first the vision restoration will be low res. Because you have to say, like, how many neurons can you put in there and trigger, and you can do things where you adjust the electric field to, like, even if you've got, say, 10,000 neurons, it's not just 10,000 pixels, because you can adjust the field between the neurons and do them in patterns in order to get, have say 10,000 electrodes effectively give you, I don't know, maybe like having a megapixel or a 10 megapixel situation. So, and then over time, I think you get to higher resolution than human eyes, and you could also see in different wavelengths. So like Geordie LaForge from Star Trek, had like the thing. You could just, like, do you want to see in radar? No problem. You can see ultraviolet, infrared, eagle vision, whatever you want.
Man, seeing the benefits of AI, and now, without restraint, have taken from this tree and have eaten. Mankind has modified food, animals, and themselves, and even modified the environment and weather. Man has broken the first covenant, the covenant of creation summed up in the number 23, Aleph, Tav, and have therefore brought on this curse of the wicked covenant. The people we have watched all our lives are not who you believe them to be. They are servants of the lesser, servants of the darkness. They know by mankind taking of this tree, man is made naked without the covering of the Most High. Without the powerful covering, man is now an empty vessel, ready to be filled with unclean spirits. This is represented by the mountain of the curse, Mount Ebal, the word that means baldness or desolation. Kason, Revelation 13:10. He who brings into captivity shall go into captivity. He who kills with the sword has to be killed with the sword. Here is the endurance and belief of the set apart ones. 13 plus 10 is 23. The time is coming for mankind to make a choice. Kason, Revelation 24. And I saw thrones, and they sat on them, and judgment was given to them, and the lives of those who had been beheaded because of the witness they bore to Yahusha, and because of the word of Elohim, and who did not worship the beast nor his image, and did not receive his mark upon their foreheads or upon their hands. And they lived and reigned with Messiah for 1,000 years. For you may be cut off, Gerizim, for not receiving the mark. The mark represents the removal of the covering eyeball. But listen to the words of our Master. Matif Yahu, Matthew 16:25. For whoever wishes to save his life shall lose it, and whoever loses his life for my sake shall find it. For what is a man profited if he gains all the world and loses his life? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his life? Yochanan John 15:13. No one has greater love than this, that one should lay down his life for his friends. When the choice comes, and it will you lay down your life for your belief in Elohim? Yaakov, James 2:23. And the scripture was filled which says, Abraham believed Elohim, and it was reckoned to him for righteousness, and he called him a friend of Elohim.